2, 1.
7 things you probably didn't know you need to know. I'm Jamie East, and this is the Standout.
This week we've seen a damning report on the pandemic that says slow decisions by the government on lockdown led to thousands of extra deaths. There's been more supply chain drama, a new Brexit row, and William Shatner finally made it into space at 90 years old. This is the Standout 7 from the Smart 7, and don't forget to hit the follow button to get daily updates at 7 a.m. There was a strong reaction to the publication of a cross-party report on the initial response by the government to the pandemic, which described the failure to lock down early enough as one of the country's worst public health failures. Greg Clark MP, chairman of the Science and Technology Committee, says it was a tough time to make big decisions, but mistakes were made.
We were too slow in that initial lockdown. Even the government's advisors said that if we'd locked down a week earlier, we might have even saved half of the number of deaths in that initial wave. We locked down too late.
And Cabinet Minister Stephen Barclay didn't exactly seem apologetic as he faced Kay Burley over the government's slow pace in instituting the initial lockdown.
Of course, if there are lessons to learn, we're keen to do so.
Keen to start with an apology, though, I would have thought.
Well, no, we followed the scientific advice.
So no apology?
We followed the scientific advice. We protected the NHS.
20,000 lives needlessly lost because you didn't lock down a week earlier and you don't want to apologise.
While Boris continues his villa holiday in Marbella, newly appointed Conservative Party chair Oliver Dowden was at least apologising in the wake of the pandemic report released on Tuesday. He told Kay Burley that Boris is also sorry.
The Prime Minister has said sorry and
Are you sorry?
yes, of course I'm sorry, as the Prime Minister is. We're sorry for the losses that all those families have suffered, but also this was an unprecedented crisis. It's a once in 100 years event. There isn't some perfect rule book that we could follow.
Labour's Shadow Business Secretary Ed Miliband echoed the apologies, but insisted the government really needs to learn some lessons from the way events unfolded.
Look, I think collectively the whole of politics should apologise. Government as a whole, politics as a whole, let down the families. Now, the government is in the lead on that. They need to be held to account for that. I'm glad that Oliver Dowden has apologised. We've got to learn lessons from this. I'm afraid the way the government handled this was chaotic and they were deeply unprepared.
The government continues to battle with supply chain issues and shortages, with new rules announced for foreign HGV drivers on Thursday, which are intended to allow more deliveries per week. There were also developments in the pig crisis, which, if you haven't been keeping up, is about a shortage of butchers, which may mean 100,000 perfectly good pigs will need to be culled. Environment Secretary George Eustice has a cunning plan.
Well, what we're going to do is allow butchers in abattoirs and meat processors dealing with pigs to be able to come in on a temporary basis under the seasonal workers scheme for up to 6 months, and that will help us to deal with the backlogs of pigs that we currently have on farm.
Labour leader Keir Starmer is getting a bit fed up with the never-ending stream of new crises.
And my concern is that we're going to get into a game of whack-a-mole here where we sort out abattoirs, but then it comes up with deliveries, sort out deliveries, and it comes up with fuel. We need an overarching plan. And, the characteristic of this government is no plan, a sort of botched response that's too late, and blame somebody else.
The Northern Ireland Protocol was a key part of the Brexit agreement that Boris signed up to, in part to protect the Good Friday Agreement. However, Lord Frost, the Brexit minister, has been signalling his unhappiness with how it's working in practice and has been calling for a comprehensive restructure.
We need to find arrangements in Northern Ireland that work to support the Good Friday Agreement. We're asking everyone to be flexible, find compromises.
So he'll have been delighted when the European Commission Vice President Maros Sefcovic proposed a lifting of 80% of the restrictions in a bid to simplify the arrangements and make trade easier. Maros was keen to get a deal done that works for everyone.
Now I invite the UK government to engage with us earnestly and intensively on all our proposals. With them, I am convinced we could be in the home stretch.
But on the Irish side, at least, after revelations from Dominic Cummings that the UK had no intention of following through on the 2019 deal, Tannister Leo Varadkar had some harsh words for Boris.
Those comments are very alarming because that would indicate that this is a government and administration that acted in bad faith. If the British government doesn't honour its agreements, doesn't adhere to treaties it signs, that must apply to everyone else too.
Still to come on the Standout 7, William Shatner boldly treks into space and Tyson Fury's singing in Vegas. Right after this.
I'm broadcaster Katie Puckerick, poised and ready to help you prepare for the imminent arrival of Succession Season 3. There are no spoilers and no opinions, just a simple chronological walkthrough of events. Haven't got time to watch 20 hours worth before Season 3 kicks off? That's what I'm here for. Previously on Succession, available wherever you get your podcasts.
William Shatner made history on Wednesday as Star Trek's captain finally made it into space at the age of 90. He obviously booked the premium package with Blue Origin as founder and owner Jeff Bezos escorted him on board.
And there is Jeff Bezos closing the hatch.
5, 4, command engine start. 2, 1.
The trip itself only lasts about 10 minutes, with 4 minutes of free fall at the apogee. It had a profound effect on Bill, who seemed deeply moved as he exited the capsule back on planet Earth.
It was so moving to me. This experience has been something unbelievable. What you have given me is the most profound experience I can imagine. I'm so filled with emotion about what just happened. It's extraordinary.
He calls himself the Gypsy King. He's Tyson Fury, and he met Deontay Wilder in the ring for the third time in Vegas on Saturday night. The fight went to 11 rounds, ending with Tyson landing a knockout blow on Deontay.
You know, I'm not going to make any excuses. Wilder's a top fighter. He gave me a real run for my money tonight. And I always said, I'm the best in the world and he's the second best. You know, he's got no love for me, Deontay Wilder, because you know why? Because I beat him 3 times. And it's like, I'm a sportsman. I went over to him to show some love and respect, and he didn't want to give it back. So that's his problem. I'll pray for him, so God will soften his heart.
And of course, it's not a Tyson Fury victory until he serenades us.
I was walking in Vegas, and do I really feel the way I feel? Thank you very much.
Becoming a TV and film star is always a tricky transition. 1 minute you're scrabbling around for bit parts on Casualty to pay the bills, desperate for a bit of attention. And then the breakthrough happens and you're shoved into the spotlight, adored by millions and, well, take Jodie Comer. Couldn't get arrested in 2015. Then a small part in Dr. Foster led to Killing Eve. The only downside of playing a glamorous psychopath seems to be the fans, as she explains here to Graham Norton.
Someone asked me for a photograph and I was like, yeah, sure. And then she quietly just whispered in my ear, will you strangle me? And I was like, and my brother sisters went me at the time and she was like, no.
Miss Comer will not do that. No.
This has been the Standout 7, the best of the week from the Smart 7. We'll be back tomorrow, 7 a.m. with the Sunday 7. Have a great rest of your weekend. Written, produced and published by Daft Doris.